Last night you dreamed. You might not remember it. But somewhere between midnight and morning, your brain built an entire world, populated it with people, gave you a body to move through it, and then deleted most of the evidence before you woke up. You do this every single night. You have done it every night of your life. And so did every human who ever lived before you. But here's the strange part. The person lying on a cave floor 40,000 years ago, wrapped in animal hide, was doing the exact same thing you did last night. Their brain was building a world too. So what was in it? You might assume ancient dreams were simpler. Fewer inputs, fewer images, fewer stories. Less to dream about, right? The real answer is far stranger. Ancient humans likely dreamed more vividly, more urgently, and more usefully than you do. Their dreaming brain wasn't a leftover. It was a survival tool. And understanding what they dreamed about tells you something uncomfortable about what your own dreams are still trying to do for you, right now, tonight. Start with the obvious question. How would anyone even know what a person dreamed thousands of years before writing existed? You can't interview a Paleolithic hunter. There's no journal, no transcript, no voice recording. But there are two paths in. The first is the dreams of the last remaining hunter-gatherer societies on Earth, groups whose lifestyle stayed close to how humans lived for most of our history. The second is neuroscience itself, tracing what the dreaming brain evolved to do before it ever had a name for it. Neuroscientist Jerome Siegel at UCLA spent years studying sleep in 3 of the last hunter-gatherer and forager-herder societies on the planet: the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of the Kalahari, and the Cavemen of Bolivia. He wasn't asking them what they dreamed. He was measuring how they slept. No electricity. No screens. No caffeine on demand. Just firelight, temperature, and darkness. What he found reshaped how scientists think about ancient sleep entirely. These groups didn't sleep longer than industrialized humans, as many assumed they would. They slept about the same amount you do. But their sleep was different in one critical way. It was tightly locked to temperature, not to a clock. They fell asleep as the temperature dropped after sunset and woke as it rose before sunrise. Their bodies, not their schedules, decided when the dreaming would happen. Why does that matter? Because REM sleep, the stage where most vivid dreaming occurs, is deeply tied to temperature regulation in the brain. If ancient humans were falling asleep more in sync with their biology, their REM cycles were likely longer, more complete, and less interrupted than yours. You dream in fragments, chopped up by alarms and blue light and stress. They may have dreamed in full, uninterrupted arcs. Longer dreams. Stranger dreams. More of them. So what filled those dreams? This is where evolutionary psychology offers its boldest theory. Finnish cognitive scientist Antti Rauvansio proposed something called the threat simulation theory. His argument is simple and unsettling. Dreaming isn't random noise from a resting brain. It's a rehearsal space. Rauvansio suggested that ancient human dreams were disproportionately filled with danger. Being chased. Being attacked. Falling. Losing a child in the dark. Facing a predator with nowhere to run. Not because ancient life was constant horror, but because a brain that rehearses threats, even fictional ones, gets better at surviving real ones. A near miss in a dream costs nothing. A near miss in real life can cost a life. So the brain, over hundreds of thousands of years, learned to run the simulation for free, every single night while the body stayed safely asleep. Think about what that means. Somewhere in a cave, a child too young to hunt was already dreaming about being hunted. Not because they'd necessarily experienced it, but because their brain was preloading the experience just in case. Practicing fear before fear was needed. That's not a glitch in the system. That is the system. But threat wasn't the only thing filling those ancient nights. Psychologist Patrick McNamara, who studies the evolutionary origins of dreaming, points to something else woven through early human dream life: social rehearsal. Ancient humans lived in small, tightly bonded groups where your survival depended entirely on your relationships. Betrayal, alliance, jealousy, cooperation. Getting those social dynamics wrong could get you exiled from the group, and exile, in a world with no backup tribe waiting nearby, was often a death sentence. McNamara's research suggests dreaming gave humans a private rehearsal space for exactly this kind of high-stakes social navigation. Who can you trust? Who might turn on you? How do you repair a broken bond before it breaks you? Your ancestors weren't just dreaming about lions. They were dreaming about each other. And then there's a detail almost no one expects. Anthropological accounts of hunter-gatherer dream life, along with cross-cultural dream research, consistently show one of the most common ancient dream themes was the return of the dead. A parent who died months earlier, appearing whole and speaking again. A lost child playing nearby as if nothing had happened. Some cultures didn't interpret this as random neural firing. They interpreted it as contact. As a visit. Long before religion had temples or scripture, dreaming may have been one of the first places humans experienced the idea that death wasn't necessarily the end of a relationship. That the mind could hold on to someone the body had lost. Here's where it gets stranger still. Some researchers argue that dreaming didn't just help ancient humans survive individually. It may have helped shape belief itself. If your grandmother appears in a dream, vivid, walking, speaking, touching your hand, and you wake up and she is gone from the world but was just here in your mind, what conclusion would you draw with no science to explain otherwise? Many anthropologists suggest this exact experience, repeated across generations and cultures, is one of the roots of early beliefs in spirits, ancestors, and an afterlife. Not superstition invented from nothing. A logical response to an experience the dreaming brain kept manufacturing, night after night, for tens of thousands of years. So picture it now. A hunter-gatherer camp at night. The fire burning low. Bodies arranged close together for warmth and safety. And above them, invisible, a nightly theater running behind closed eyes. Threat simulations preparing them for tomorrow's dangers. Social rehearsals preparing them for tomorrow's alliances. And somewhere in the mix, the dead walking back in, uninvited, unexplainable, and impossible to ignore. Now think about your own dreams. Do you still get chased? Do you still show up somewhere unprepared, running late, searching for something you can't find? Do people from your past, including people you've lost, still visit you at night saying things you wish you could ask them again while awake? You are not imagining a disconnect between your dreams and your daily life. There isn't one. Your brain is running the same ancient software it always has. It doesn't know you're not being hunted anymore. It doesn't know your social group is now scattered across group chats instead of a single fire circle. It doesn't know the person it just showed you has been gone for years. It's still doing the job it was built to do, in a world that no longer looks anything like the one it was built for. That's the twist worth sitting with. You didn't inherit dreaming as decoration. You inherited it as a tool sharpened over hundreds of thousands of years by people who needed it to survive lions, betrayal, and loss, in that order, sometimes all in the same night. The content has shifted. You dream about exams instead of predators, about texts left unanswered instead of tribal betrayal. But the machinery underneath hasn't changed at all. So tonight, when you close your eyes and the fragments start assembling into something that feels, for a few hours, completely real, remember what you're actually doing. You're not switching off. You're stepping into the oldest rehearsal room humans have ever built, one your ancestors used to survive a world of fire and darkness and each other. And in a very real sense, when the light finally goes down tonight, you're going to flip the same switch they did long before the word switch ever existed at all.